Thanksgiving is a time to reconnect with family and friends and reflect on all we have to be grateful for. And this year, More in Common is giving thanks to the incredible culture and heritage of Native Americans, whose land forms the basis of this country we call home. Native Americans are often included in Thanksgiving mythology, but their contribution is widely misunderstood. So now, nearly 400 years after the first Thanksgiving feast, we're shining a light on the true story of our indigenous countrymen, looking at the new face of Native culture on social media.
Now we have social media to share those traditions, share those teachings, but also do it in a good way where we're not exposing too much of our sacred teachings and knowledge.
The origins of a truly American sport.
Creators game, and we played for land, and it was just for peace. Nowadays, we're doing it for a really good cause, and I'm really happy with that.
And an unforgettable love story made in Manhattan.
I feel like he's singing for me, so I dance for him.
All that coming up on More in Common.
When we think about Thanksgiving, we often remember the story of pilgrims and Native people coming together for a harvest feast. But that isn't the full story. In fact, what we learned in elementary school only goes so deep. So we decided to ask a professor to tell us a lot more.
The Thanksgiving myth is designed to make white Americans feel better about colonization. Colonization can't be symbolized by a shared dinner between indigenous people and Europeans. The Wampanoags had been in contact with Europeans for the better part of 100 years before the arrival of the Mayflower. Those relations centered on trade, but almost invariably they degenerated into violence. And so when the English arrived, the Wampanoags wanted to enlist their power against the Narragansetts in order to protect Wampanoag independence. Thanksgiving myth would have us believe they were just friendly and open to being colonized. The truth is far darker, much more complicated, and involves a kind of multilateral intertribal politics. Native people, particularly Wampanoag people that I've talked to about Thanksgiving season, almost to a person, have told me how hard it is on them, and particularly on their children when they have to sit in school and watch teachers lead exercises that seem to, at worst, revel in their historical traumas, and at best, dismiss them. I also think, though, that the Thanksgiving myth does damage to white Americans. It sanitizes the bloody history of colonization and thus makes American society in large less capable of thinking critically about where we came from. And if we want to make things better, we're never going to make things right? We're never going to answer for all of the evils of colonization. But one of the ways that we can make things better is by telling the truth about colonial history in our national narrative and in the ways we teach history.
Social media has given a new generation of Native Americans a chance to showcase their heritage and culture. So we checked in with a few creators who are blowing up on TikTok.
Hey you want to learn a little bit about this dance? This is called the grass dance.
You know, I started doing TikTok in earlier 2020. My whole thing is to try and make people, just make sure that they have a smile after they watch one of my videos. Or that they learn something, useful that they can use in their day-to-day life. And so it adds to their knowledge. Bonjour, Ani Tanse, hello. My English name is Thieland Kiknaswe. I am Cree and Potawatomi from Wapule Island First Nations, Kashanong territory.
Let me teach you a little something about braids. To Indigenous people, our hair is everything. When braiding our hair, we're supposed to have good thoughts because we're connecting with our body, mind, and spirit. That's what the 3 strands are for.
So when I'm trying to think of a new idea to teach people about it, they're all based on different teachings that I was taught from my parents. When we're thinking of the different teachings that we're taught as an Indigenous youth, we have to learn and grow and make mistakes along the way. And that's how we become who we'll be in the future. So a lot of the teachings that I was taught are different teachings from many generations before, and they were just passed on through oral traditions. It's interesting because now we have social media to share those traditions, share those teachings, but also do it in a good way where we're not, kind of exposing too much of our sacred teachings and knowledge. So that communication of learning is a big motivating factor for others, because when someone learns something, they'll be like, wow, I didn't know that too. Like that's so cool and that's interesting. So, making either even a little bit of humor out of it, or, even doing some sort of, showcasing of our culture, whether that's, wearing traditional items from our regalia, or, just even talking a little bit about the different things that we do. I think everything is super important, and, every little thing can mean a whole lot, and it adds up as well.
The subject of gender identity is in the news more and more lately, so we decided to check in with someone who identifies themselves as having two spirits. Meet Ty Defoe.
As a two-spirit person, some folks might identify me as being transgender, from going from one gender to the next, but I never left the person that I was, even though my appearance may have changed. I'm all those things, and then some. So I grew up in the Great Lakes of northern Wisconsin. Every weekend we would go to different powwows, we'd go to different ceremonies. This is where I got to learn about my identity and who I was becoming and am today. So in the Anishinaabe language, we refer to two-spirit as Nishmanituog. It's the idea about transcending gender. Gender is a construct that was placed on Indigenous people to operate in. And so this gives some flexibility, some nimbleness, with not having to identify by a type of expression that's placed on someone. What's different from the LGBTQ+ is that these are awesome acronyms that sort of kaleidoscope together to create an individual and their identity based on folks that have fought for various rights in the United States. But two-spirit or indigiqueerness is something that has always just been a part of our language, always been a part of our culture, and has always been a part of that great hoop, or that great circle of life. I talk often about this great circle of life, or this great hoop. When I was a quite young person, I was given a red willow hoop that was very light, and then I was also given a iron hoop at the same time, and was told to learn to dance with both of these hoops. And in that way, I was learning the idea about what balance is. That hoop, or that circle of life, we refer to it as being the most inclusive design or shape that we can learn from. Right now we are marching and rallying for Black Lives Matter. People were brought here and enslaved on stolen lands. So there's a lot of healing that needs to be done. There's a lot of cross dialogue between cultures and people that needs to be done because of this. A teacher of mine said that if you are not dreaming 7 generations ahead, you aren't dreaming big enough. Every day I wake up and I'm like, okay, how am I going to change the world today and amplify two-spirit Indigenous queer individuals? I feel like it really harkens to being a human that is given the opportunity to evolve into infinite possibilities.
Coming up.
This is the land that we originally came from, and it just turned into a big city and got really colonized, so we were forced to relocate.
And later,
the role of Miss Navajo, you're called to be everybody's mother, you're called to be everybody's aunt.
Long before Dutch settlers came to this city behind me, the island of Manhattan was inhabited by the Lenape tribe, who came back here for the first powwow in over 100 years. Why is this powwow so important to the Lenape tribe?
This is the land that we originally came from, and it just turned into a big city and got really colonized, so we were forced to relocate. These same moccasins of my ancestors were like dancing on this same soil, and I think that's really remarkable.
It is my pleasure to introduce our head lady dancer, Bedoski. stonefish. So give her a round of applause as she waves to the people here.
I feel like throughout my whole household, we were always playing powwow music. I was born and raised on the Grand Traverse Bend Indian Reservation in Peshabitan, Michigan. I've been dancing since I could walk, going to powwows since I was a baby. And now I go to Michigan State University and I study human biology.
Now you're on this college campus, and sometimes people are treating you differently.
Initially, they see my name and they're like, what is that? They think that either I live in a teepee or like that we're extinct or like we don't exist. They just assume that I'm a figure from the past, but it's 2018, I'm still here.
All the schools I went to, I was the only Indian in the whole school, so like everybody would be looking at me all crazy, like I wasn't supposed to be there, like made me feel like I didn't belong there. I know I'm different, but they treat me like I was like a fucking alien or something like that.
How important was it to maintain your tribal traditions?
To me, I feel like it's important just because powwows create like lifelong friends, like, and those friends turn into your brothers, and like just like where I feel the most comfortablest and like where I feel like I'm at home.
You eventually met someone at one of these powwows.
Yes.
What did you say to impress Badaske when you first met her?
I was definitely pretty nervous just because she was like really pretty, and like I thought I was pretty goofy looking, so I was just really nervous, and like I just tried to like make her laugh and just tell her little jokes and stuff like that. Just to see her smile just makes me feel happy.
You guys are quite the pair, huh?
Yeah, I feel like he's singing for me, so I dance for him, I guess.
Pretty romantic. I like that. How do you feel about her?
I love her a lot. My best friend, she makes me really happy.
Since now I go to school, and it's so hard to see everybody that's different from you, it's just nice to see someone that's as passionate about everything that you're passionate about, and it just makes me proud seeing him sing and dance because that's what I love to do. Columbus didn't discover America. How can you discover something that already had inhabitants and already had people that had a life and a culture and had a system of living? It just doesn't let us tell our story on how we came to be. The United States was something before he came here. It's just no one gets to know about it. Every tribe has their own traditions and cultures, and a lot of them have their own language. But every tribe in North America shares one thing in common, and it's that they powwow. He's from all the way in Idaho, I'm from Michigan, but we connected through powwows. So I feel like everybody can resonate with our songs and dances. Every time we get visitors, you'll see them bobbing their head or tapping their toe to the beat. And I feel like all people just have a sense of music and dancing.
When we come back,
I'm gonna be honest with you, lacrosse is the only thing I have. I feel like lacrosse is honestly the only way that I can be successful in the classroom and staying away from being at the wrong places at the wrong times.
And then
the moment I was crowned, it was definitely overwhelming. My job started that moment.
Lacrosse has become a mainstream sport in schools across America, but its origins may surprise you. We went up to Harlem, New York, to one of the most diverse lacrosse programs in the country to learn why this is truly an all-American sport.
I grew up with a not-so-rich family. When moving from Puerto Rico, it was just from shelter to shelter. I saw people playing lacrosse, across the street in the school, and it took me away from a lot of my personal problems. I'm not too stuck on all the problems that me and my family have been through in Puerto Rico, and then all the poverty that I lived through. And I'm gonna be honest with you, lacrosse is the only thing I have. I feel like lacrosse is honestly the only way that I can be successful in the classroom and staying away from being at the wrong places at the wrong times.
My parents were born in Africa and Guinea. I was the first girl born in America. They think that this can get me somewhere.
Because this is more than about lacrosse. This is about getting a great education and learning discipline.
Yeah. Here we go, Saran. Pick it up and get that thing moving right away.
Oh!
Good D.
Use the space. Haas cut through. They wanted me to play a sport because they think I'm tiny.
So your parents had never heard of lacrosse?
No. Here we go, Saran. All right, tee up. Oh, pass. Here we go, Cam. Moving.
Shot.
Keep moving around, Dan.
And you tell me about the headscarf.
So it's a part of my religion. I just wear it to show I'm different. Just because I'm playing lacrosse doesn't mean I'm gonna look like everybody else. And I like showing that I am Muslim. I wouldn't take it off for anything.
And for those who don't know, why do you wear the braid?
I wear the braid because I'm tiny Native American, so it's like a part of me. It would be like cutting off my arm or cutting off my leg.
And a lot of people don't know, but Native Americans invented the game of lacrosse.
Creators game, and we played for land, and it was just for peace. Nowadays, we don't really worship the game, but that's totally fine because you're doing it for a really good cause, and I'm really happy with that.
Let's go Lions! Oh, let's go Lions! Oh, let's go Lions!
A couple years ago, the New York City Parks Department, they wanted to turn the handball courts into a basketball court. We had a dozen kids go down to a community board meeting, and listening to two of the leaders on the team speak up about their experience and what this spot means to them and how it can't be basketball. They want lacrosse. Lacrosse is their ticket. Lacrosse is where they're successful. And then have the community board be really receptive. They urge the Parks Department to leave the handball courts as is.
This is their home. We've also been able to repaint the benches and plant flowers around the area and want to keep it looking amazing and staying awesome.
Some lacrosse fields, they're manicured lawns, but you said you prefer to play here on the blacktop.
Yeah, I really like playing here. It's the place I started. This is a safe spot.
Katie. Low left. There we go. We want to keep the play flowing. We get the defense moving on a deceptive pass. We want to keep that ball moving. And that's the way to have some purpose behind the backhand. Not just doing it for the sake of doing it with a purpose.
Lacrosse is like the reward at the end. You have to do well in classes.
They want to pass it down, please. I also have pens for you guys. I wasn't a good student. Now with lacrosse, I want to be the best that I can be.
They really have started to change the face of lacrosse, and people don't look at them, oh, it's the black team, it's Harlem Lacrosse.
In middle school, I was a natural shy person. And then I started to join this team, and all throughout middle school and all throughout high school, I had a family. And also I had another family, which was the boys team. We're all one and we're all united.
It's the only thing that I could fall back on when I have nobody to fall back on. So like I can go get my mind off of things, play lacrosse.
After the break.
The biggest difference between the typical American beauty pageant and the Miss Navajo pageant is the Miss Navajo pageant tests a young lady on her cultural knowledge, her traditional knowledge, her language, her stage presence, her public speaking ability, but it also tests her emotional capability, her emotional control. The role of Miss Navajo, you're called to be everybody's mother, you're called to be everybody's aunt, and you are given the responsibility of taking care of your people and passion to serve your public. Hello everyone, my name is Shandine Parrish and I am Miss Navajo Nation 2019-2020. I am from Kayenta, Arizona, and I represent the Navajo Nation. The biggest difference between the typical American beauty pageant and the Miss Navajo pageant is the Miss Navajo pageant tests a young lady on her cultural knowledge, her traditional knowledge, her language, her stage presence, her public speaking ability, but it also tests her emotional capability, her emotional control. The first day of the pageant is the sheep butchering contest. The contest lasts about an hour. During the process of the harvesting, you're also given questions in Navajo and in English. The moment I was crowned, it was definitely overwhelming. My job started that moment. In March, on March 13th, 2020, the Navajo Nation President Jonathan Nez declared the public health emergency that put major restrictions on our people because of the pandemic. And at that moment, I was in the room with the president and I was in the room with the executive directors. All of our leaders turned to one another and started really to feel how COVID-19 would impact our people, and more importantly, how COVID-19 would impact our elders. At one point, the Navajo Nation had the highest per capita rate of COVID-19 positive cases for the entire nation. But the Navajo Nation also has the highest percentage of testing per capita. Almost 50% of our people have been tested for COVID-19. Last week, we had the first day where we had 0 positive cases. So Dr. Fiauci did recognize that, and that was pretty awesome to have him on this week.
The reason you should be proud of what you've accomplished is that you have proven that when you do these public health measures, you can turn around a serious surge of infection.
I don't think a lot of people were expecting me to be out there on the front lines with the president. I really decided that this was the best way that I could serve our elders, was to show them that we are still resilient, that we are still resilient people, that our culture, our language, who we are as Navajo people, it will still remain. And even if it's just me dressed up in my traditional clothes out there with our public, I know that that's a reflection of love that I hope to give them, and something that will help them carry on at this time.
While so many of us around the country are sheltering in place, these young girls were able to show off the heritage of their tribes with this amazing video. You can see them passing the makeup brush from one screen to another as they wear the most bright and wonderful outfits you've ever seen. Those girls are just incredibly inspiring. I gotta up my wardrobe for the holidays ahead.